Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. And welcome back to the BUSR, where we are here for round 8, the season finale. And we're here tonight at Baku. The championship is already wrapped up by Pilakoris, but we still have that battle for second place going on. As you can see, I'm finally back in the commentary box after a little hiatus. My name is Max Ring, and alongside me tonight for the first time this evening, we have the wonderful Jordan Pinnock, who has been actually on the grid this season. So how are you, Jordan, on this Saturday evening?
Hello, Max. Yeah, I'm not too bad. Happy to be here. Should be a very interesting race. Obviously, as you said, we've got a massive battle for P2 in the standings between Josh, Newt, and Luke as well. So yeah, should be a very exciting race. As you said, I am normally on the grid, but with how exciting tonight's going to be, I thought it'd be more fun to sit and watch it unfold from the commentary box as opposed to being in the car. So here we are.
Yeah, of course, we now have first hands-on experience of racing against these guys from Jordan in the commentary box this evening. So we do have some permutations for this evening. So actually, coming into this final round, a bit like Hamilton and Verstappen back in 21, Newt and Woolley are both on the same amount of points. They're both on 198 points apiece, with Luke Sawyer a further 16 back on a 182, and then Ben Mills on 174. He's still in contention, but he will need a miracle, will Ben Mills. So if things finish pretty much as they are, if Sawyer and Mills drop out of contention, they can't score the points they need. It is going to be a scenario where if Newt or Willie beat one another, they are champions. Sawyer needs a Josh and Newt to finish P3 and below and winning the race with the 6 bonus points that are on offer. So it's going to be difficult for Luke and Ben, but the real battle, I think, here, Jordan, is that one between Josh and Newt.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree. Obviously, as you said, there's a lot riding on it for Luke and Ben. They need a lot of outside luck to even really have a chance at P2 tonight. So realistically, unless something crazy happens, which being F1, we have seen things do happen. You never know what you're going to get. But unless something mental happens, it will most likely be between Josh and Newt, which makes this a very exciting end to the season.
It certainly does, and we're here at Baku as well, so it makes it even more exciting. A tricky street circuit, which can cause anything. Anything can happen. You never know. Newt and Woolley could come out of contention in the castle section or somewhere else, and that really does open the door for Luke and also Ben, because of course Ben tonight, he needs a race victory. He needs to really dig deep into Ben of old and be able to pull off those strategies and be able to get onto the right calls and be in the right positions. But I think the big factor in Ben's way, not being Newton and Josh, it's also Pilakoris as well. He is really the driver that could stop Ben from having any chance.
Yeah, I would agree. Obviously, Chris is a very fast driver, and if he's anywhere near the front, then he's got a very good chance of winning, which would, well, rule Ben and Luke out before it even begins. But from the looks of it, it doesn't actually look like we've got Pilakoris tonight.
Pilakoris tonight, so Ben Mills might have just caught himself a lifeline in this battle for P2. Just imagine the scenes if he is able to pull this off from all the way down in 6th place in the 5th place in the standings, sorry, all the way to that 2nd place. Really revitalising what has been quite a tough and poor season on Ben's standards. It's just not really gone his way at all, has it, Jordan? And again, I think his best result was in Silverstone, and he's just not really been able to pile on that momentum from a few seasons ago.
Yeah, I would agree. He's been rather up and down this season. He's had some good events, he's had some good pace, but he's also just not really been as competitive as I think he would have wanted to be. And it's kind of left him in this situation now where he's really having to fight an upward battle to try and take that P2 back from Newt and Woolley.
He's not been on the form at all, but as you can see, we are now heading into qualifying, and we shall see who shall come out on top. So Newt, of course, has his teammate Tabin, who could possibly help. And of course, for the Williams drivers, it is Ben Mills and Josh Woody. Actually, do we have Ben Mills tonight? Because that seems like a different driver in the Williams. So Ben could be out before we even get underway here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think we've got Ben either. So, yeah, this could be Ben ruled out before it even starts.
The usual idea is to check in the Discord, in the Lobby 1 chat. And no, there is no Ben Mills. So I would say Ben is not racing tonight, so we are down to 3 contenders for this one. It will be Sawyer versus Newt versus Josh Woolley, and this is where things get a little bit more interesting with one of the protagonists out of play. And of course you can see everybody now out onto the circuit. A tricky track to master here, Jordan. Just tell us, of course, as a driver, you've probably driven this track many times before. How difficult is this circuit to now, especially into this castle section?
Oh, it is so tricky. You have to have everything perfect. You can't make any mistakes. You have to be so locked in the entire time. If you have even a momentary lapse of concentration, that could potentially be race over for you. So if you're not locked in the entire time, and especially if you're a more aggressive driver, someone who likes going for moves and likes being towards the front, then you really need to be smart with those moves. You can't just kind of go for it. You really need to think it through, plan it in advance.
Certainly do around any street circuit, but at Baku it's a little bit more because there are plenty of more overtaking opportunities compared to other circuits. Newt is going to be the first driver to get things underway, and he's going to go for that intermediate pole position. Of course, there is a bonus point for Inter's pole and a race pole, so if you get both, you get an extra 2 points to your tally, and this could be a crucial point that Newt could gain over Josh Woolley if he is able to get it as he makes his way into turn 1 now, before, of course, driving all the way through into turn 2. We'll be down to around about 3rd gear, get the car turned in. Of course, this lap going to be a little bit slower than everybody else on those softs, just due to the less grip and purchase he'll have under braking on the traction. But Jordan, take us through the rest of this lap as he heads down into turn 3 now.
Deep into turn 3, clips his apex beautifully. Lovely line out through there as well. Nice into turn 4, a little bit wide of the apex, but does help with the exit from the looks of it. Gets a nice clean exit. Coming down into turn 5 now. See how he takes it. Nice and tight to the apex there. Kisses the curb at the inside of turn 6. Gets a lovely exit going down to the very tricky turn 7 and then up into the castle. Once again, nice through the apex. Nothing really messy here. It's just nice and clean. Up into the castle now. How's he going to do here? Very clean. Millimeters from the walls. Super precise. Now we're coming out of the castle section and getting ready for that final sector. We've got a very tricky downhill left coming up, so that's going to be very important. That corner can really make or break your lap if you misjudge a braking point, which Newt doesn't here. He does it beautifully, clips the apex perfectly. One more real corner to go, so coming through this left-hander here. A little bit wide of the apex, but still gets a lovely exit, and now down onto the super long back straight, back towards the finish line. We'll get a nice dose of DRS here as well, so that will help with top speed. But yeah, overall, very clean first lap from Newt. And from the looks of it, Woolley isn't going for Inter's pole. It looked like he was on an outlap on softs. That could be a goal point game for Newt here. Woolley doesn't involve himself.
It certainly could indeed. It's a 43-1 from Newt. That is Inter's pole position. Thomas now goes to the top of the times on a 39.4. Ayman, I think, is that on the intermediates? No, it's on the softs from Ayman, who goes on a 41.2. Tabin just behind his team by about 2 seconds. Then Alpha follows through. Luke Sawyer, he has a part to play for intermediate pole. Is he going to be able to snatch it away from last gen Newt as he now makes his way to the line? It doesn't seem so. Or Willie, Luke Sawyer, what a point this will be able to take away, and just
he does
take it. He does take it away from Newt, and that is a big point if you are Luke Sawyer. That will bring the gap down to Newt to 15 as Josh Woolley now takes the soft tyre pole position on 38. Here comes Alex Lansdale. Can he snatch it back from Luke Sawyer? No, he cannot. Just shy by half a second. And of course on the intermediates, that's not a big margin at all. Still waiting on Assassin and Seth to set their lap times, but a big chance goes a begging there for Newt. If Josh Woolley takes pole position, that then puts him the point back in front. And for Luke Sawyer, I think that's crucial if he wants to stick with the Williams driver. The gap will remain the same, but it just strengthens these chances that little bit more. But still, of course, 12 minutes left to go. A track with high evolution as well. Anything can happen over the course of this qualifying session.
Indeed it can. I wonder if Newt's little kind of wide on the apex in the first sector cost him that 10th there. Because other than that, the lap looked pretty clean. So potentially it could be a tiny little mistake costing him 1 point, which could be crucial at the end of this race.
It certainly could have done, actually. That is a very good point. And also at the end of the lap as well, where he went that tiny bit wide, just before he made his way down that main straight. That could all come to about that 10th and a half that he's missed out on. And unfortunately for Newt, at the moment, Josh Woody is going to be 1 point clear. And if, of course, something drastic happens in this race and Josh Woody doesn't finish, and then Newt gets a 10th place result, Woody will still take it, I think, on countback. So, yeah, for Newt, he needs a big session ahead of him. He needs to take that point away from Josh Woody and get it back into his grasp if he wants any chance of being able to at least finish in the points and pick up those key point-paying positions. But, of course, we've had everybody set a lap time so far. I think everyone down to Youssef has been on the soft compounder tyres, everybody else on the intermediate. So quite a big 50-50 split. And, I mean, for Josh Woody here, he's just nearly 2 tenths clear of Assassin, so it's not a big margin for pole position. And for Newt, I think he can still take this with some confidence that even though it was a slight error in the final corner here, Jordan, that he can change this into the soft tyre and potentially try still pole away.
Yeah, I would agree. The pace looked very strong. He looks pretty dialed into the track as well. Not many mistakes. And obviously being on the inters, your mistakes will be exacerbated by the fact that you don't have the grip you would get from a nice set of them Red Bull soft tyres. So I would say that if he can pull it all together, not over yet, there is still a chance for Newt to steal that point away from Josh, throw it back in his favour.
Certainly is. Ender Epic now makes his way out onto the road. Excuse me. Everybody else just diving back into pit lane, just waiting on Youssef to do it as well. But of course, Ender Epic now on to the circuit. Of course, Jordan, you were teammates with Ender Epic, if my mind serves me correct. So just how good was that team cohesion you had with your fellow McLaren driver, and how did things go throughout the course of the season with you and Ender?
It worked really well. We got along really well. There was a couple of races where one of us would be, say one of us had made a mistake and we'd be coming back through. If we were obviously faster than the other, we were happy to just get out of the way, help each other out. There's a good vibe in the team as well. Like, didn't feel like we were butting heads or anything. We just got along, had a laugh, and drove McLarens. It's the exact sort of teammate you want when you're racing an F1 car. You just want somebody you get along with. You don't want to have that inter-team stress getting in the back of your mind the entire time as well.
No, you certainly do not. And of course, Ender, he's had his moments. He has shined every so often. He's brought that pace out and has been up at the front in that contention. He's about to start his second soft tyre flying lap. The likes of Sawyer downwards are just starting their first. So this is going to be a whole new ball game for them. It might take them a couple laps to get used to that grip adjustment. But for Ender, he's already done that and is now going to be pushing on for his second soft tyre lap. 8.5 minutes left to go in this session. So we really are starting to get to that crunch time. A really long out lap and main lap as well. So you can't really have too many stabs at the cherry in this one as we now head down into turn 2. We'll be down to third gear. Hit that first apex quite nicely. DRS now open as we make our way down into turn 3. The first 4 corners all pretty much 90 degrees. And as we now head down into turn 3, probably braking around about the 100 meter board down to second gear. Then bring it to that outside wall and power on nicely into turn 4. A little bit of natural understeer that happens for a little dip in the camber, but he's still been able to keep it through quite nicely, braking just about 75 meters as you make your way through 5 and now into 6, carrying lovely speed through there was Epic as he makes his way now into turn 7. Down to second gear. Make sure you don't cut too much of that inside apex curve. She will pick up an invalidation and now into that tricky castle section. No one has come a victim of it just yet. And Ender Epic is carrying on that trend as we now head out of the castle section and now into the the triple left-hander. A tricky part of the circuit, especially this next braking zone. So not go deep or potentially just go a little bit too early on the brakes and cut the corner. Through turn 2, the car just wants to get out from underneath you on the traction as you now make your way down into that second sector split. Is he up or is he down? He's up by 9/10 of a second. This will take pole position away from Josh Woody. He did really master that middle sector. Can he carry on this speed throughout the rest of that? Will be draining that battery as he now makes that run to the line. DRS open in a matter of meters. It'll be open now, all about this run to the line. Can Epic still pole position away from Josh Woolley? Up to the line he goes. He can, but only just by a 10th of a second. And Josh Woolley on his lap, he'll be following up for a reply as Newt now goes top of the times.
What an incredible lap from Ender. Obviously, we didn't see Newt's lap, but based on the fact that he was half a second clear of Ender Epic, then I'd imagine it was just as good to watch. That lap from Ender was super clean. Flipped his apexes beautifully, nothing really left on the table in terms of mistakes or anything. Just looked very dialed into the track. Oh, and there goes Luke with a 37.9. What a lap.
Luke really seeming to have the pace at the moment. Of course, Josh Woody is going to be finishing his lap in a few moments' time. GM next to the line. He's up by a 10th in that middle sector. He's going to probably just try and put himself in front of Thomas if he can get a good run up to the line. Across the line he goes, stays where he was. His teammate Jake was next to the line, but here comes Josh Woody, the man we are looking all forward to. What's this lap time going to be for him as he heads to the line? It's the second row of the grid. Lost time through that final sector. It was about 8/10 up in the middle. It was 7/10 in the end when it came to the line. His teammate Adolk now making his way to the start finish line. He's actually out of battery at this stage, so he's got the DRS open. What's this going to be for the second Williams as he crosses the line? Only 11th fastest, a 40.5. But for Luke Sawyer here, looking to try and take 2 points out of this, that'll bring the gap down to the top 2 to 14. He really is bringing everything out. He's not going to go out without a fight. And so far, he's a 10th clear of Josh Woolley.
He is really not leaving anything on the table. And I think the good thing for him as well, with being the car that's kind of the underdog, he's not got to worry as much about what the guys ahead do. He's probably not going to have it in his head as much as Woolley and Newt do, because he knows he's in that underdog situation and he needs things to go right for him. He's just going to drive the way he drives, and if things go well, then that could pay off for him. We don't know what's going to happen, but if that was me in that seat, I think I would just be driving my race and hoping that things happen around me as opposed to trying to make it happen.
Yeah, it's definitely just that mentality shift of just, I'm not expected to be in this fight. I'm not expected to be able to pick up these positions in the championship and actually be able to take that second place. So I just do what I can. I do everything that I need to and just hope for the rest around me to have the incidents, to have their moments where they just make those mistakes. So for Alex Lansdale now, as he starts his lap, he'll be now making his way into that, of course, turn 3. A tricky corner to just not understeer off into the wall. He's been able to do that quite nicely. What we're looking at in the first sector from Alex Lansdale, he's not set a soft tyre lap just yet. I'm expecting him to be a top 5 competitor in this session. He's up by 1.8 seconds. So a really good first sector so far from Alex as he now makes his way through the middle sector. Oh, he's actually invalidated. He's invalidated the lap as Alex Lansdale, unfortunately for him. And that is going to be it for Alex. And I don't think he could get another run on the board. Here comes Youssef to the line. What is he going to be able to do as he now drives up to that start-finish line? Or is he going to dart into the pit lane? No, yes, he is coming into pit lane. So Youssef just going to be able to bolt on another set of tyres. But a big shock here, Jordan, potentially for a driver that could be in that top 5 running order. Alex Lansdale is going to start from the back of the grid.
Yeah, that is a shock. I mean, Alex has had really good pace all season. We've seen it multiple times. He's been right up at the sharp end of it. So for him to have had this much of a mistake in his qualifying session with invalidating with less than 3 minutes to go, that could cost a lot for him. He may just about have time to get back out. We'll have to see. If he does, it will be very, very close.
It will be very marginal.
It will be tight.
very marginal indeed, because he's just got back into the pit lane now. It usually takes about 20 seconds to get the car turned around into the garage. So for Alex, I think that is going to be it, unless a miracle happens somehow and he is able to go out with even 10 seconds left on the clock. A-Man is now starting his lap time, currently on 41.2 in the Aston Martin. He's going to come under a lot of traffic low here, Jordan, so this could potentially just be a double out lap for the Aston Martin if it comes to it.
Could well be. He's gone for an offset timing from the looks of it on starting his final lap, which can very easily cost you. We see this quite frequently where people like to go for their offset timings just to hopefully have a bit of clearer track. And if you get it right, it's brilliant. If you get it wrong, then you end up kind of in this situation where you've got a lot of cars on outlaps trying not to trip over themselves, each other. And obviously A-Man as well, pushing on a flying lap. He's going to be right in the thick of it.
He certainly is indeed. Of course, you can see on the minimap just how much traffic is heading through that castle section now, and they don't really have anywhere to get out that way. So they've got to keep going on this one. Newt has just started his final lap as well, so we'll keep an eye on his times in a little bit later on. He'll be the next one, actually, I think, to set a lap time. So it's always worth to keep an eye on Newt on that final run. But for Ironman, he now makes his way into the tricky next left-hander. Is he going to be able to pull this one off quite nicely? He's kept it out of the wall, which is crucial, but has been hampered properly by traffic turning into the corner middle sector bit, only up by half a second, sorry. I don't think that this will just put him in front of Youssef, and Tabin will just be able to slot in front. But for A-Man, as he now makes his way up into the DRS straight for the final time in this qualifying session. What's it going to be for the Aston Martin? Can he put himself up into 12th, or would it only be a 13th? Could potentially get a lovely distant tow from the car in front. It's 13 fastest for A-Man, but let's have a look. Surely at last gen Utes we are. He's down in the first sector. This middle sector is oh so crucial for the Kick Sauber. He needs to find probably around about half a second if he wants to take this pole position, as he now heads into turn 15. Is Newt going to be able to pull off a miracle to snatch a point back from Sawyer?
No, he's 2.5 tenths up. This is still on. This is not over yet for Newt. You can get a good run through here. This is not over yet at all. Obviously, we have got to keep in mind that we've still got Wooly and Sawyer to complete laps here, so they could still improve themselves, but Newt just needs to do the best he can to get that gap and try and get back up onto the front row.
As here comes Newt to the line. Is this going to be enough to displace Sawyer for now? Is a provisional pole? It is! It is provisional pole by 2 tenths of a second. 6 tenths found on his previous best. Look how much time he lost in that final sector. What about the likes of Sawyer and Josh Woody? What are they doing on their laps? Tabin now coming to the line. Well, what's he going to be able to do? Can he get into the top 10 and potentially be a rear gunner for his teammate in this race? 11th place so far. Sawyer, where is he on the road? That is the big question. That's what we all want to know, is what Sawyer and Josh Woolley are doing at this current moment in time. Here comes GM to the line. Is he going to do enough to snatch pole position away? Surely not. Goes 6th fastest. A lovely improvement from him, though. Josh Woolley is up in the first sector. Ender Epic across the line. He goes 4th fastest and just misses out on trying to find his way up into that top 3. Luke Sawyer and Josh Woolley will surely be coming to the line ever so shortly, as Thomas in 8th. It's like making up to the line. Is that Sawyer to the line? It will be Sawyer to the line. Can he take it away? No, he loses time. So it's all eyes to Josh Woolley, who's up in the middle sector, but not by enough.
Oh, this is going to be tight. This is going to be very tight. He was, what, nearly 2 tenths up through sector 2? So if he's got this final sector perfect, this could be it. But it's not. P3.
Last gen Newt takes a crucial point for pole position, which puts him now in front of Josh Woolley, and that gap between him and Luke Sawyer stays at 16 points. He was the one with the bottle. He could only be the one that could cope with the pressure. And for last gen Newt, he takes what could be an extremely crucial point in this session. I think, well, of course, Ben Mills ain't here tonight for the finale, but that would certainly rule him out of any chance of contention with an extra point. But for Josh Woolley, if anything, that is a drastic scenario. He didn't go for that Inters pole. He put everything on that dry tyre, that main pole position, and he's not even been able to beat Luke Sawyer in all of it.
Yeah, that is huge for Josh. Not being able to get at least ahead of Luke onto P2 there, that is that is going to be interesting, especially into turn 1 with how bunched up the field's going to be. That's going to be a very tight turn 1, and he's going to be obviously the third car of the 3. Never know what's going to happen behind. He's got to be very careful here.
Certainly does. This could be a very, very tricky race. And of course, for Newt and Wooly, it is a straight shootout between the pair. But that one point, that one singular moment might have just saved Last Gen Newt that second place finish. We're going to have to wait and see what will happen now heading into the race. Of course, Luke Sawyer, he'll be 15 back from Wooly. And then 16 back still from Last Gen Newt. And of course, if Newt and Josh finish P4 or P5, Luke will need a P1 to seal this one. He needs a race victory. I think if you're Wooly, not Wooly, sorry, if you're Sawyer, I think that is your main aspiration. You need to win to have any chance of taking this second place in the standings. So it's absolutely crucial, and I feel like he'll have that drive, and I think he'll have that to go for that race victory. But we are now heading trackside. We have the 5 red lights. It's Newt and Sawyer on the front row, and we're on the way here in Azerbaijan. It's a good start from Last Gen Newt. He's been able to streak clear of Luke Sawyer, but there's carnage in the background. Cars all over the road and into the wall. That's turn 1. That is Oldak and Alex Lansdale into the wall. Both the V-Cubs, got sideways of Thomas and Alpha through those first couple of corners, and we have a virtual safety car to start things off. Ender Epic's able to get past Assassin just about before the virtual safety car came out, but for Last Gen Newt, a virtual safety car is probably what you would have wanted on this first lap if you're able to lead away from the line, because it gives Sawyer no chance of sticking a move down into turn 3.
100%. This will be a very happy Newt, I'd imagine, over in that kick. Just having that little bit of respite from Luke attacking. We do need to keep in mind Luke's on the hards. Newt and Wooly are both on the medium. So Luke will be aiming to go longer into the race here. He's not going to be boxing as early as Newt. So as long as he can stick with him while those hards are coming up to 10, that is a very, very interesting strategy call. We'll see how it plays off. But we are back under racing conditions now, so let's get back to it.
We are back to green flag running, and there's a yellow flag. Is that Thomas in the wall in the castle section? Has something happened in that mid-pack down at the castle section? There's a yellow flag there, and I think it could have been for Tabin as well. He's lost his front wing, and Oldak as well in the wall. He's missing both his end plates. And I think Thomas might have been involved too. Of course, a 2-stop is on the cards here tonight. So we will have 2 trips to the pit lane. There's another collision. Now I think that's for Thomas again. It's another virtual safety car. And this time it's for Thomas and Jake, I think, who are both missing their front wings. That's 4 cars now. He's seen as Thomas picks up a 10-second time penalty for a collision with Jake. That's 4 cars now missing a complete front wing. There's going to be a hefty repair bill going to a majority of these drivers for a new nose cone. Oh, it's a full safety car.
Oh, wow.
Safety car. That could be a very crucial safety car, because now if you're especially on those medium tyres, swap to the hards, try go as long as you possibly can, and then swap to another set of the mediums, or even another set of the hards. You could see yourself potentially have reduce your deficit by one pit stop, and for Ender Epic, this could be a first race victory of the season.
I would agree. Like, obviously, having this safety car, as you said, it brings everyone together. It's very early on, so the people on the hard. So we've got Luke, Alex Hughes, Alpha, Seth, Iron Man, all on the hards, started on the hards. So they, I would imagine, will not box. They will stay out. It probably doesn't benefit their race to box. However, for people like Newt and Wooly, both up in P1 and P3 here, they could, as you said, potentially box, take that basically free pit stop, bring themselves right back into this, but with 1 pit stop less to make.
Going to be definitely a race to just the strategy race is going to be one to keep an eye on, because of course you have those drivers at the front field. I wouldn't expect them to box, but you do have the likes of Ender Epic and Alex Lansdale as the ones really in a chance of trying to take a potential surprise race victory. So as we're under this safety car, we'll probably be out till the end of lap 3, so we'll get back underway on lap 4 of this 26-lap race. Oh, I feel like it's going to definitely come down to tyre management for Lansdale and Epic, but the question is as well, will they be able to navigate through the slower cars, the likes of Iman, Youssef, to bring themselves further forward and be able to keep with those front three enough that that pit stop deficit is just in their favour and they don't, I say, get overcut by these cars in front of them.
It's the big risk, isn't it? You need to make your way through that slower traffic as efficiently as you can. And being Baku, you've got a couple of big opportunities to overtake around here. Obviously, you've got down into turn 1, down into turn 3. They're going to be your 2 main overtaking zones with the DRS. But you need to be quick with it, because the longer you're sat behind them, the worse your deficit is going to be. And that could make the difference later in this race.
Indeed, it could. All the difference could be made, especially with those drivers on fresher tyres when they come into pit lane. And you're in your old hard compound just screaming in agony to tell you, I don't want to do this anymore, but you have to keep going until the very end. So, as we see Ender Epic here, the McLaren driver fighting for a first race victory. A good friend of ours here in the commentary box, Jordan Pinnock, he's teammate for this season. As we look at the positions gained, of course, Alex Lansdale was up for even with making that pit stop, but he's capitalised on all the carnage behind. As I think Jake's actually just gone straight on at turn 3 under the safety car. A bit of a rookie error there. Probably does not want to watch that one back, does the Haas driver. But our biggest gainer of the drivers that haven't stopped is going to be both Iman and Youssef up 5. And then GM as well up 3 places. Our biggest loser in all of this, I think, is Thomas. He's down quite a few places indeed. So it shows that if you have a bit of a tricky getaway, which we saw from Thomas having that huge slide through turn 1, it could just be somewhat of a chain reaction throughout the rest of the lap. And you get yourselves into those situations where you get put into the wall or just accidentally tap it. And we actually see GM missing part of his front wing as well. And I think he was the driver that actually made contact with Thomas there. So I'm surprised the Haas driver didn't come into the pit lane as well.
I'm pretty sure it was Jake that had the contact with Thomas when they both lost their entire front wings. I caught the end of it, and it looked like Thomas was not expecting to be missing as much front downforce as he was going into the downhill left after losing part of his front wing in that earlier contact. He just overshot his braking point. But we are getting back underway in a second. The safety car's in this lap. So Newt's backing up the field, getting ready for the restart. Let's see how he goes with this.
Yes, let's see when Newt decides to put his foot to the floor. I'm expecting him to leave this late due to the slipstream as we now make our way down that main straight. And Lansdale has just decided to pass them all.
I think that Alex may have desynced a bit here.
Yes, Alex might have just had a bit... Oh, he's retired.
Oh, yeah, he's had a connection issue.
Yeah, unfortunate. Oh, that's so unfortunate for Alex. I was interested to see how his strategy went, but Newt decides to go now. And we are underway once more, and I think there's some drama in the background. A car nearly went round. I'm not sure if they did in the end, but still, as we make our way now into the left-hander at turn 2, I think someone went into the back of Alex's car. Jake going really slowly out of turn 2 as we make our way now down the straight into turn 3. Of course, when we get past this first lap, we'll have the DRS open as Seth picks up a 10-second for ignoring yellow flags. There's a Ferrari nearly off into the wall. That's Youssef nearly straight into the wall at turn 3. It's all kicking off up and down the field as they're side by side between Youssef and Aldak as we make our way into 5 and 6. The top 3 have broken away from Assassin. That's the second clear that they have over 4th place in this race already. As there is that was Iman to the inside of Jake. He's actually picked up some front wing damage as well, has Iman in this one, as Jake was locking her ears there into turn 7. But for Newt, a brilliant restart. I think everybody was a bit confused by Dale. And once again, Newt potentially capitalising off a bit of chaos.
Yeah, I think Newt's taken that little bit of chaos there with Dale's car doing whatever it was that it did. He's made that his own advantage. Big time Dale things. But yeah, he's managed to stay ahead. Obviously, as you said, the top 3 have now got that DRS gap to Assassin in P4. That does, unless Assassin can pull them back in, and to bring this into a 3-car race, which ironically is our 3 protagonists for our P2 tonight.
Yes, it
going to be
certainly is.
interesting.
And at this stage, it will be Newt taking that second place in the standing. Sawyer needs a miracle to happen. At the moment, he's pretty much ruled out of contention. As we see Seth, he's picked up another 10 seconds. He's retired from the race as that's an Alpha to the inside of Tabin. Just not able to get that move done on the kick. Sauber, as he now sees himself with the DRS for the first time in this race, making his way down that main straight, the back straight, all the way to see if he can now make that move. He's got a DRS, Tabin does not, but he's not going to look for the move to the inside line into turn 3. He's just going to sit back for now and then power on a little bit later on. But this is, of course, all a strategic game. Some drivers on the hard, some drivers on the mediums. Of course, Ender Epic boxed under that safety car. He's on the freshest tyres of the lot and be trying to make his way through, as he's now got Thomas next on his list. But the more Alpha sits behind Tabin here, Jordan, the more time he loses to GM, as that gap's already 2.5 seconds between the Kick Sauber and the Haas.
Indeed. Obviously, it's such a game of compromises around Baku. You need to get the moves done, but you don't want to go too aggressive because it's so easy to put both yourself and the other driver into the wall. It looks like Alpha's made the call here to sit behind. It may have cost him half a second or so, but in my experience, I think that Alpha thinks he's got the pace to get back into that gap purely on his own pace alone. I think he's going to sit back, get a nice little bit of a battery recharge going, go for it down into turn 1 and just try and springboard away here, which from the looks of it is, I think, what he's going to go for here.
Yeah, certainly is what he is going to go for, as Luke Sawyer is all over the back of Josh Woody, all over the back of Luke Sawyer. It's just a little bit of a train at the moment. Now Sawyer dumping to the outside, then to the inside, but just not going to be close enough to go for that move up the inside. And these three, of course, are all going to be contending for this one, as I think Tabin and Alpha are going side by side in the background. Is actually something might have happened to Tabin as now Thomas makes his way through. And I think Ender Epic potentially could be now involved too, as you can see that in the background. Ender Epic all over the back of the kick. Sauber, Sawyer not going to go for the move, and we now make our way through turn 3 and now into 4, and I think Epic's just not been able to get past Tabin, but crucially for the two V-cars, but I'm going to make their way through, and now we'll hunt down the Haas of GM, who of course has that front wing damage. And for Luke Sawyer, he sits behind as a yellow flag in the first sector, as Jake has got into the wall again and lost his front wing, and we have another safety car.
This is classic Baku, isn't it? Just non-stop chaos from start to finish. It is classic Baku. Oh, and GM with a drive-through. GM with a drive-through for speeding under the safety car.
That is so unfortunate. He can't even serve that under the safety car either.
Oh, that is so unlucky.
After the safety car comes in, of course, it'll be a bit unfair if you get a drive-through and you can just serve it under the safety car. There'll be no point of the drive-through. But yes, we'll see these drop. With that drive-through, that probably rules GM out contention for a top 5. But with this as well, Jordan, this is surely prime time for those medium runners to think about coming into pit lane, because we're on lap 6 of 26. Surely you're going to be able to get those hard tyres at least 20 laps in this Grand Prix. If not, no, it'll be less than that, probably around about 18 laps. Surely you're going to be able to do that. And for Newton, Josh Woody, this could be a master stroke compared to Luke Sawyer. It might have just shot the Mercedes in the foot.
Yeah, it will be a stretch. It will definitely be a stretch, taking those hards to the end. What we're going to have, I think, yeah, it's going to be around 18 laps by the end of this. It will definitely be a stretch.
Oh, Newt, Jesus. Oh, my, Newt. Oh, wow, that was very late. Is it, Jordan, is there any rules about coming into the pit lane but after the commitment line?
I think there are. I would need to double check, but I have a feeling that you are supposed to commit to pit entry.
I do believe so as well. I do remember potentially seeing that in the rule book, that you do have to commit to that pit entry. So that potentially could just put this overall race now under a bit of scrutiny, and we'll have potentially this P2 in the standings here, Jordan, confirmed after the race is done in the steward's room.
Indeed, this could be huge for the drivers' championship results today. I am just quickly having a look through our rules to see if there is a rule for it. I'm pretty sure there is, and obviously with Wooly as well being right involved with this and being directly involved in this battle, I would imagine that will go to the stewards at the end of this race. So, as you've said, this probably won't be settled yet. This may be a very late settle.
It certainly will be. Drivers must remain reasonably within... This is off the official rule books for the pit stops. Drivers must remain reasonably within the white lines when entering the pit lane, and two wheels must be kept within these limits. So, drivers who are found either crossing the pit lane entrance, making a late dive into pit lane, or behaving in a way that gives time or track advantage will receive a penalty. This is from the official rulebook here in BUSR for the F1 stewarding regulations. And to me there, Jordan, Newt did not commit at all. And at the very last second, a bit like a random BMW driver on the motorway who's missed his exit, has just decided to completely cut across and nearly go into the barrier.
Yeah, it looked like a very late call, but obviously you kind of need to, I don't want to say have your head switched on because that feels very harsh on Newt as he's driving an incredible race so far. But that felt like a very last minute call. I'm wondering if he was reacting to Woody behind.
He might have been.
He saw Woody going towards the pit lane and has gone, I can't stay out, I need to cover this off. So in terms of the race overall, it could be the right call, even if he does get penalised for that pit entry. May have lost more time staying out than by boxing and potentially taking a penalty.
I'm surprised he didn't just think about coming into the pit lane anyway. I'm gonna quickly watch this one back myself because I'm able to quickly have a look at it. So of course I'm watching it. You guys can't see this one at home. So Newt is heading down that main straight now. Of course I have the replay on here, and when he commits, he's not actually committed to the white line here, Jordan. I've paused it at the perfect time, and he's actually just completely cut off the pit entry. He is past the commitment line, and that, to me, I feel like is a slam-dunk penalty, and I think that could have just potentially handed Josh Woody this second place.
Yep, I would agree. If it's that blatantly obvious, that will be a slam-dunk penalty. I'm not quite sure what the penalty will be, but what Josh needs to do is stay with Newt now, and as long as he does, it should be his second place in the standing. Then again, we've still got to remember that Luke is still in this battle. He stayed out on those hards.
He is still in this battle, so it could be one man down, another one to potentially gain. And for Luke Sawyer, he may even get third place in the standings after this. I mean, of course, we're saying, of course, all about these stewards' inquiries here as well, Jordan. Does anyone actually report Newt for that? Of course, Josh Woody surely would, but does he get reported for it? Because they still need to put that report in themselves. The safety car is in at the end of this. That will be back underway for racing. And this actually also puts as well, Jordan, Ender Epic in brilliant shoes because he's able to hold off his tyres that little bit longer. And now he's going to be able to maybe push on them a few laps more than what he would have done. Yeah,
this has helped him out massively. He's managed to sneak through all the chaos. Obviously, he's kept his nose clean. And you can see it's paid off. He's ended up in P3 on the freshest tyres, obviously with the exception of the top three that boxed. But he's in a really good position for this. Let's see how it goes. Very late restart from the looks of it here.
It certainly is going to be a late restart, just like we saw with Newton. Luke Sawyer does go racing. We go racing once again here in Azerbaijan. And here comes Ender Epic. Is he going to go for that move here onto Thomas? No, he is not. But last gen Newt makes his way past Iman, who goes completely off the road. And that's allowed Josh Woody through. And that's a crucial car. Not in between Newt and Josh Woody as Assassin sees himself through. Same with Tabin as well. As you can see, Iman just falling further and further down the field. And as soon as one of the championship second place in the standings contenders got near Iman, he completely crumbled and just went straight off the road. Woody, has he actually got a bit of front wing damage in that Williams car? I did think I just saw a little bit of front wing off the end plate for Josh Woody, or am I just seeing things and it's just blended in? There's Ender Epic to the inside line, heading into the right-hander. I was just seeing things with Josh Woody. He's not lost any front wing at all, but Ender Epic getting really racy behind Thomas. I think he knows he needs to keep with Luke Sawyer and also wants to hold off Newt and Josh Woody, but a dream getaway there from Sawyer. And the more these drivers are kept behind Ender Epic and Thomas here as well, Jordan, the more he can streak clear and potentially build up that buffer to give him a better chance when he comes into pit lane.
Indeed. Obviously, with him not having boxed yet, and especially with us having these 2 safety cars, is he going to try and stretch these hards even longer? The one stop is a bit borderline normally around here. It's doable, but the wear is normally pretty brutal. But with those 2 safety cars, never say never. And obviously, as you said, if he stays stuck behind Thomas and Ender, you never know what's going to happen. Still a long way to go in this race.
There is certainly a long old way
Wait, have we got another we got another safety car.
Oh, Jake has gone straight on. And this
so
now,
unlucky for Jake.
and Aldak now picks up a drive-through penalty, and he'll have to wait until the end of this safety car to serve it. I mean, GM, if you're GM, you are praying it's a lap later because you could serve your drive-through and then you get your safety car. But unfortunately, it's not worked that way, and Jake's gone straight into the wall. And unfortunately, we have our 3rd safety car of the evening. I think the limit in the F1 game is 5. I think that is the limit, so we'll only be able to have another 2 so far. But we've had 10 laps, and for Luke Sawyer, I think this is starting to look very doom and gloom, wouldn't you think here, Jordan? The amount of safety cars we're getting, just not able to break away, and he still has to make another pit stop.
Yeah, I would agree. Every time he's been just about able to pull that little bit of a gap that he would like just to control this race and manage his pace the way he wants to, and then the safety car comes out and resets it for him. It does help, as we said about a minute ago with the tyre wear. Obviously, it does help him manage his tyres a bit better, help him go longer into this race, and it does open up the strategy options for him a little bit more. But I feel like he would really like to just build up that gap and just have a bit of breathing room instead of having cars breathing down his neck the entire time.
It certainly is now just going to be Luke Sawyer praying that this race goes uninterrupted, I think, for the rest of this evening as we head into our 3rd window, of course, of a safety car. And I mean, you never know, it probably will be a couple of laps before we get the next one, just with, of course, drivers making those mistakes, this circuit being so unforgiving, especially in that castle section. So, I mean, none of the safety cars, I don't think, have actually come from that castle section yet. We've had drivers go off at the castle section, Jordan, but somehow we've not had a safety car from that certain complex of corners. It's actually been turn 15 where we keep trying to get those safety cars from.
Yeah, it's almost impressive that we haven't had anything from the castle section yet. Turn 15 is a very sneaky corner. I think I mentioned it in quali where it's so easy to put that inside curb and just get flung into the outside wall. So it's very easy to make a little mistake and it bite you, which it looks like we've had at least twice in this race so far.
It certainly is just that nature of turn 15. Where you'd, of course, you'd turn in. Even then, you could potentially lock up and go straight into the wall. GM's coming to pit lane. I don't know if he's been able to serve that drive-through. If he has, hallelujah for him, or is he just coming in for a fresh set of tyres? We'll see when he exits the pit lane, because he had no penalties. No, he's not been able to serve that drive-through. So for GM, it's just despair for him. And I mean, it's his own teammate that's kind of unravelled his race with the fact he's now got that drive-through. He wasn't able to serve it on that last safety car restart, and he's going to have to wait all over again. But I think we got to look at this as well from Josh Woodie's point of view. Newt, if he gets reported, a slam dunk penalty for him. And Josh is just in the prime position to just somewhat trundle round at this point, Jordan, and then be able to maybe get that move done on Newt in the final few laps and take this 2nd place in the standings, which really has been the driver that's been 2nd best this season. After Pillar-Chorus, he has been the one that has been fighting with the Red Bull driver for those race wins, for those victories, and it's just been a few rounds of a disconnect or unfortunate disqualification under a safety car of all things, which has brought Newt into the equation. So for Josh Woodie, I think he'd be very disappointed if he can't get this 2nd place in the standings.
Yeah, I would agree. It really does feel as though he's had the worst luck this entire season. As you said, he's been right up the front fighting with Pillar-Chorus almost every single race, and just through either a fault of his own, with the unfortunate safety car incident in Austria, or game bugs, disconnections, all of the things that could possibly go wrong for Josh this season have kind of gone wrong. But we are about to get back running. Safety car's in, waiting for Luke to do his restart. And I'd like to add a quick comment on GM as well. He's on hards. Will he take him to the end? Because even with serving a drive-through, that's less time than a pit stop. And he's on a fresh set of hard tyres.
He certainly is on a fresh set of tyres, so he could potentially be somebody at play as we actually go racing a lot earlier this time around for Luke Sawyer. I think he knows he needs to get a bit of a hurry on. And look at that, Josh Woody going side by side with last gen Newt over that 5th place, but had to back out of things, potentially got a legal overtake as Youssef to the inside of Tabin, just keeps it out of that outside wall, does the kick Sauber as Luke Sawyer now tries to streak clear of the rest of the field. A big slide there from one of the V-carbs. That's going to be of Thomas, I think, having that slide as Ender Epic has dropped down behind not only Josh Woody, Newt, and also Assassin as well. So a disastrous restart for the McLaren as he sees him drop down to 6th place. Youssef still side by side with Tabin as we make our way now into that next right-hander of turn 4. Tabin's been passed by Youssef, now passed by Alpha as well as he drops down to 9th place. And once again at the front of the field here, Jordan, it's Luke Sawyer, 1.5 seconds clear. Will he be able to at least convert it this time around to at least a 5-second gap, or will Newt be able to get past Thomas with immediate effects?
I would imagine that Newt will be past Thomas very, very quickly. And what he's kind of got to hope for here, if he can get past Thomas, but Josh can't, that could help Newt to build a little bit of a gap as well. I know it'll only be probably a lap or so with the tyre offset between Josh and Thomas, even when Newt gets past. Who knows, that could be all the difference. But the bigger question is, how long will Luke be able to hold on to that gap? Because the guys behind on 6-lap fresher tyres, it will close in, I would imagine, quite quickly once they get past.
Yeah, they really do want to get by it as soon as they possibly can. As you can see that gap already up to 2 seconds, and Newt really in prime position to get that move done. He's tucked into the slipstream. He's using the battery. Oh, there's a little bit of a wobble from the V-car, potentially tagged ever so slightly from the kick Sauber. And here comes Josh Woody as well to get involved. Is he going to try lunge it to the inside of Thomas to try and get this move done? There he is, going to be Newt to the inside line. He's potentially got this move done. They're still side by side, making their way down into turn 3. Of course, Thomas fighting with the big boys. He'll want to show what he's worth and prove to himself that he can get this one done as Woody now to the inside as we open up the DRS, heading down this back straight. Look at that, trying to find a gap is Thomas. Here comes Woody to the inside of not only Thomas but Newt as well. Newt somehow keeps it out of the wall, and Josh Woody has to slot into that 3rd place with the 3 fighting for 2nd in the standings. 1, 2, 3 once more, and we see Assassin now looking around the outside of Thomas for this 4th place and gets it done beautifully. That is probably the best move we've seen so far today from the Alpine driver as Woody still looks at the back of Newt.
That was a beautiful move back there from Assassin. Just very clean, very decisive. I'd like to say Newt's move with Josh looking up the inside into turn 3, he just closed the door. There was no thought of giving Josh any room to even think about going for a move there. He was showing his intentions clearly. I am not letting you past easily. You're going to have to fight for this.
He certainly is now going to have to fight hard with Newt to try and get this one done. But of course, with that steward's investigation, he might be taking things a little bit more on the easier side. Maybe just not thinking about attacking too aggressively. And this is now Josh's first opportunity for an attack with the DRS heading down at that main straight. Or he's just going to elect to sit behind for now. Slipstream, DRS is open as we head down this over 1 kilometre straight. Is Ender Epic's able to get his way past Thomas now as well. No move being made from Josh Woody onto the back of Newt. I think he is just now going to save his tyres, save his battery, and I think we're just going to see these two following each other all the way to the end.
I wouldn't be surprised. It did look like Josh was recharging down the first DRS straight there, so that shows that he right now isn't really in attack mode. He's just consolidating that P3. You never know what's going to happen a few laps down the line. He might decide he wants to go for it himself and take that P2 on track. But for now, it looks like he's pretty content with just sitting behind and letting the race unfold in front of him.
Yes, he certainly will. Just let everything happen. Of course, Assassin's actually keeping up with these two quite nicely, so he could still be a threat for a potential opportunity at a race victory. So we'll keep an eye on Assassins. We now see the two V-Carbs going side by side into turn 7. This is a risky place to go side by side with one another. Surely one's going to back out into the castle section. And yes, it's going to be Thomas, who elects to keep his front wing. And he drops down to 7th place now behind his teammate of Alpha. Youssef is next on that waiting list to see himself through. So we're on lap 14 of 26. And if you're Luke Sawyer now, here, Jordan, you're probably thinking the few laps time to come into the pit lane for a pit stop, as we see Youssef and Sabin squabbling very aggressively through 15, and the Ferrari still just able to stay in front of the Kick Sauber.
Yeah, I'd agree. Luke is going to be thinking now, when am I boxing? What am I going to be doing? Obviously, he's had so much time under the safety car that he's managed to get a fair bit of life out of those tyres. So he probably does have a lot more headway than he would have had at the start of this race, in terms of his strategy. But it's definitely coming towards his pit window now, and he's not going to be far off.
Not going to be far off at all of a pit stop, as we actually see Newt has brought that gap down by about half a second over the previous lap. That just shows how much those fresher tyres really do help around a circuit like Baku, where traction is oh so important on a low grip surface. As we now, of course, turn into turn 3. Josh Woody still just patiently waiting, still just sitting behind, as we have 11 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Youssef and Tabin once again squabbling a little bit further back, and it seems like Youssef has come out on top in that one. But for Luke Sawyer, he's slowly coming into the grasp of Newt and Josh Woody, and I think this story for Luke Sawyer, unless we get a safety car within the next few laps, Jordan, is just going to fall a little bit short. And he's going to come out behind everybody in this field. And I think for him, it's just going to be damage control and try and maybe recover a top 5 finish.
Yeah, I would agree. Obviously, those safety cars really, they could have worked very well for him. But starting on the hards, it's a very risky play. If you don't get the rubber to green like you'd like with the safety cars, it kind of puts you in this situation where you're almost hoping for other drivers to have errors themselves, have their own mistakes. And unfortunately, it just doesn't really look like it's playing out particularly well right now for... Currently having a quick look as well at tyre wear stats, as I've got a little piece of software here with some information for me.
Ooh, what's the tyre wear, Jordan?
So it looks as though Newt's wear is slightly higher than Josh's by about 1%. Not a big difference, but definitely going to be something to keep in mind. Neither of them have gone over 30% on those hards yet, so they should pretty easily take them to the end from here. But obviously a couple of percent here and there can make all the difference at the end of the race.
I mean, all it takes is a little wall tap, as we just see Josh Woody do that. And the percentage just goes up a little bit more every time you tap that wall. So that is something they need to look out for, as Thomas gets past Oldak, who's gone straight on, it seems, at turn 3. And his race goes from bad to worse, and he's still in that last place position on the road. But for Luke Sawyer, he has really been called in by Newt and Josh Woody. That gap now 7 tenths between the top 2 in this race. And if you're last gen Newt, you're trying everything you can to back up Josh into the path of Assassin, just in case a penalty does come your way. So for Woody, he's just sitting nicely behind. I think that's why as well, here as well, Jordan, Woody's just got that little bit less wear. Even if it's a percent, just that little bit less, is because Newt is the one pushing and Josh is just following along in his DRS. He's not really having to push so much to catch up to Luke Sawyer. He's just hanging on to the coattails of Newt and potentially braking a bit earlier and just coasting his way through, as Newt is all over the back of Sawyer as we make our way out of the chicane.
Almost alongside him before DRS even opens. So that really does show how much he's up for this right now. He wants that P1 before turn 1. It looks like he's got it. Yep, he's clear. And here comes Josh as well. Josh going for a cheeky little move, trying to take Luke by surprise. And he's done it. They're both passed.
Big move there from Josh Woody to catch Luke off guard. And he's like, Newt, you're going to go through. I'm going to follow you through as well. Don't you worry about that, son. I'm going to make sure you are stuck to the front of my car all the way to probably the end of lap 25 when he makes that move. for the race victory. Was he going to go for it now? That would have been very daring if he went for it into turn 4, especially 2 drivers contending for this race victory. As we now head through turn 5, Oldak back into pit lane. That's probably either going to be for a new set of tyres or retirement. Excuse me. And actually, we have a yellow flag in sector 1.
A-Man's gone straight on.
Oh, straight on, and he's another driver that's just having to do that 3-point turn, a bit Mahavir Raghunathan-esque, to try and get out of that turn 3 runoff. And for A-Man, his race goes from bad to worse as well. But for Josh Woody here, you surely think he's in prime position, because he's now got the opportunity that on the final 2 laps, he can decide when to go with the DRS if things stay as they are.
Indeed, and I've got some predicted tyre wear here for you, which could make this even more interesting. Newt is currently predicted to finish on 83% on his rear right. Josh is looking at around 77. That 5% puts Newt well into puncture territory, so you never know what's going to happen, but that is definitely something to keep into mind into the last couple of laps of this race.
It's certainly in puncture territory, and that much of a percent difference will have a big issue when it comes into the races. Actually, Josh Woody's been able to get past Newt with the DRS there as he makes his way into that race lead. So a crucial switch for this one. But that tyre wear, having 5% more, is a big pace difference. You really do feel that around this circuit. And I think for last gen Newt, he potentially, if Luke Sawyer comes in ever so shortly here as well, Jordan, could potentially see himself, if he does pick up that puncture, out of any chance of even a top 10 finish, and his hopes of that second place in the standings might just go up with a puncture, not the penalty that we all thought was coming. Maybe that rear left just exploding on him might just cost him the chance, or even a top 3 finish in the standings.
Indeed. Obviously, a puncture, especially around here, if you got it, say in sector 1, and being a rear tyre as well, that is going to cost you so much time getting back round that lap. And as you've already mentioned, with how close the walls are, if you rush a wall at 80+%, a very, very big chance that you could end up limping your wagon home on 3 wheels. He's got to keep that in mind.
This season, I think we saw actually it for Luke Sawyer at Monza when that happened to him. And Josh Woody, I think, might have had a puncture. That's a certain point as well. So, as we make our way with the DRS, we'll be enabled once again down this next straight with a yellow flag. That's Iman who's retired. Is that going to be a safety car, which potentially could save Luke Sawyer? It just doesn't seem so. And Luke Sawyer's luck goes from bad to worse, but it's straight on here at this next corner where it was. Sawyer, and actually goes into pit lane. He's chosen for the pit stops, and this is a crucial moment in the race to see where he comes out.
Trigger, let's see where he comes out. Realistically, he wants to be ahead of that train led by Tabin here. I don't think he will be. This is going to cost him a good chunk of time trying to clear those guys, especially on those fresh mediums. But he's only around 17 seconds off the leaders, 17, 18 seconds off the lead 2 cars here. So, depending on how quick those mediums are, he's still got a good chance of getting back into this, especially with those guys having to make it to the end. And he's already ahead of both Yusuf and Tabin.
Yusuf actually went into the wall there as well. Tabin now looking to the outside, is somehow trying to fight this one with Luke Sawyer. But I think that was perfect traffic management there from Luke Sawyer. He used that DRS to his advantage, used the battery, and he's now just going to be able to hunt down in clean air Ender Epic. And I think for Luke Sawyer here, it's not over. This is not over yet. He still has a perfect opportunity to see himself back into this race for the victory, because the other drivers, their tyres are going to be in absolute agony come the end of the race, and he's going to be in somewhat decent conditions. Let's see how much quicker a lap Luke Sawyer is going to be against Josh Woody and last gen Ute.
Exactly that. He's going to be flying. He's going to be hell to leather right now. He's got nothing to worry about. Those tyres will make it to the end. Whereas you've got Newt and Josh and Assassin as well, mind. Obviously, they're all on the same tyres right now, and they've all got very similar tyre wear. They're all going to be managing right now just to make it to the end. Whereas Luke is just going to be flat out. It's going to be a chaotic end. I'm excited for it. We've got 6 laps to go now, and it's only going to get better.
certainly is going to get better and better. This could certainly come down to crunch time, as actually Ender Epic's decided to come into pit lane, so that's another car out of Luke Sawyer's way. And I think actually as well, here as well, Jordan, as we see actually GM and Thomas now squabbling away. GM's had a really good recovery up through the field with that drive-through penalty, as he's now up into that 6th place. But I think this is the best representation, because Assassin's not really dropping any time to Josh Woody and Newts in front on how quick Luke Sawyer is. And look at that gap. It's already 11.2. It was 12.4 when we started this lap. He is hunting them down corner by corner. And with 6.5 laps to go, this is going to come down to the final few laps. And it's a purple first sector for Luke Sawyer. He's now 10.2. He's bringing it down second by second. I think by the end of this lap, he could be 9 seconds behind.
He is absolutely flying right now. He is on an absolute mission. I can't really see a way in Newt and Wooly staying in the lead here. I don't think the mediums are going to fade enough for Luke to really not be able to catch and get back past them. But this could have been a strategic masterstroke after all that.
This could be a very big strategic masterstroke. Look, it's 8.7. Assassin's dropped about half a second over the course of this lap, so he's still just as quick. I'll be interested to see Josh Woody's lap time if we can quickly switch over to him now. His lap time was a 44.3 as we head back to Luke Sawyer. What is it going to be for him on this lap? So 44.3 for Josh Woody. Luke Sawyer on this lap, a 1 minute 40.7. He's nearly 4 seconds a lap quicker than Josh Woolley here, Jordan. This is insane pace, and he's already 7.9 seconds behind Assassin. He is finding time everywhere he goes.
This isn't a case of if, this is a case of when. He is like a man possessed behind the wheel of that Mercedes right now. He is absolutely flying, bringing every bit of performance he can get out of that car. And it is honestly brilliant to watch. Just no holds barred, just hunting them down.
That means hunting them down with every single corner. The traction difference that on the low grip surface on fresher tyres is oh so crucial. And that gap now already 5.9. Assassin hasn't really dropped time at the start of this lap. It's the thing is as well here at Jordan, it's all going to be about if Luke can keep this pace up, but also with keeping this pace up, get through the castle section cleanly, because of course he's pushing tooth and nail. That's where the mistakes can be made. Just one little too late on the brakes at a certain corner. You could see yourself into the wall as Thomas picks up a 3-second time penalty. This, I think Josh Woody and Newt are just going to have to sit back and watch Luke Sawyer breeze by them, because he's now 4 seconds behind. He's finding so much time around this circuit. They found about a second over Assassin, but still, that just does not slow the rate that Luke Sawyer is catching. And it's probably going to be another 4 seconds and a new fastest lap again from Luke Sawyer. He's now 3.6 behind Assassin now.
Well, Assassin boxes. That's Assassin into the pit. So that has helped Luke out massively. He now doesn't have that one car worth of traffic in front of him that could potentially hold him up if it caught him at the wrong time. He's got clear track to just go and use those mediums and catch those two ahead.
Certainly does, and also as well, just like we said with Ender Epic, this now gives us the best representation of how much he's gaining to Newt. So at the start of this lap, it was 8 seconds. By the exit of turn 3, it's already 7.4, as there's a yellow flag in the first sector, but luckily gets cleared up. That's for Tabin. It's 7.1
right now.
At the end of the first sector, Sawyer gained a second in the span of 4 corners. That's how quick he is right now.
My God. Yeah, this is... At this rate, he's going to catch him by the end of next lap.
Yeah, either the end of next lap or just before we get to the halfway stage of lap 24.
Yeah, he'll be well clear of them by the end of the race. This is insane.
Insane pace from Luke Sawyer, who has kept his second place in the standings, hopes alive. And if anything, for last gen Newt, he might be able to hold on to P3 in the standings, because the closest car to this top 2 behind Luke Sawyer, it's a further 18 seconds back. So that penalty just might not come into things near the end. And for Luke Sawyer, he's now 5.8 seconds behind. So in the course of this lap here, he's found about 2.5 seconds onto the back of Josh Woolley and Newt. That pace is slowly coming down. It's not as fast as it once was, but he's still gaining at a rate of knots.
These guys, the one thing that Newt especially has got going for him right now is having the DRS off of Josh. As Josh was doing earlier, he's able to sit behind. He's able to manage his tyres a little bit better, which is only going to help him at the end. But these guys have still got a hope that they can take these tyres to the end. Whereas Luke can just go flat out. So that's something they need to keep in mind as well. They need to be wary of how much pace they want to bleed without being so slow that Luke just breezes past them.
Yeah, this could just be them managing, knowing that Luke's going to catch up, and then using that late pace they've saved up to try and hold on to their positions. That gap now 4.1 seconds between the top three. And this, I think it's going to be the final 2 laps here, Jordan. I think Luke Sawyer will catch up to the back of last gen Newt as we start lap 25. And it's going to be all about this DRS, and will Newt go early to try and get past Josh Woolley? The three fighting for second place in the standings will be neck and neck on the road in these final few laps. But for Luke Sawyer, it is not enough. If these guys finish in the top 3, they will not be able. He will not be able to take that race win away. That second place away from either of these drivers. So if anything here, if you're Luke Sawyer, you're going to try and get by and then hope and potentially back them up into one another so that they actually have an accident with each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's shades of Lewis in 2016, wasn't it? Abu Dhabi, when he was doing the exact same thing to Nico Rosberg. Backing him up, trying to create some form of chaos that can potentially win him that spot. But is Luke that sort of driver, or is he just going to want to get past and run away to prove it?
He might just want to run away to prove a point, but he's not got much battery to prove anything with at the moment. 2.6 seconds is now that gap as we're about to start the middle sector of lap 24, and a big snap of oversteer there has cost him about 1/10 of a second. He really is hustling this Mercedes along. That gap now 2.5 seconds as we now enter the middle sector. This is where he finds the most time on the cars in front, and just look how much time he finds through turns 4 and 5. It's 2 seconds now, that gap. He's found half a second through 2 corners. As we now enter the castle section, I think my prediction was right. By the start of lap 25, he'll be just within DRS range. 1.6 is now that gap. I don't know if he'll be within it or he'll be teetering on the edge. But the question is as well here, Jordan, when does last gen Newt decide to go for that move on Josh Woolley? And will he be able to go for a move on Josh Woolley as Luke Sawyer is now all over the back of him and will be within DRS range?
It's going to be so tactical. And yeah, Luke is here now. Luke is officially in this battle. He is less than a second back. So he's going to have DRS down this back straight. This is going to be insane at the end. Newt, I think, will want to get past as soon as he can. I don't think he wants to be involved in this.
He's not got it.
He's not. No, he dropped out. These two use battery.
They use their battery. Oh, wow. They used their battery to their advantage, and that might have just cost Luke Sawyer. Yes, he's had to push onto the back of him, but he's only got a lap to save up that battery, and he's still not within that DRS range. But luckily for him, he's got the middle and the final sector to now just save up this battery, because he's going to be within that DRS range. But will it be enough battery to hold on to the end of this one? Don't take your eyes off this action, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to go all the way to the wire. The top 3 in the battle for P2 are the top 3 on the road. It's Sawyer versus Newt versus Woolley in the order they are in the standings, but what one is going to come out on top as we now head into the castle section? Will Sawyer potentially as well here, Jordan, go for a move on Newt early to put his attention onto Josh Woolley?
I would not be surprised. That is why I was mentioning last lap, but I think Newt wanted and probably should have tried to go for it on lap 25. Because with Luke being all over the back of him now, he's going to have one eye forward on how to try and attack Josh and one eye back on trying to stay ahead of Luke. But this is going to be a very, very hectic final lap. Not look away. Just sit back and let's enjoy it.
Enjoy the show, ladies and gentlemen, as Josh Woolley just been Excuse me, break away from last gen Ute? Or is he just going to keep within that DRS range that kicks out? But he has just kept within that window as we now are about to start the final lap of the season. The drivers battling for second in the standings are going to fight tooth and nail for this one as we head down that main straight. Here comes Luke Sawyer on the back of Newt. He's looking left, he's looking right, he's looking left again. He's to the inside and he gets that move done. He's up into second place. Next on his list will be Josh Woolley, and this is a big fight for the championship standings. Woolley has been arguably the driver that has been the second best this season behind Bilokoris. He has been the driver there and thereabouts. It's just been a little bit of hardship, a little bit of unluckiness, which has cost him for fighting for the overall title, and he might just round the season off in style. But for Luke Sawyer, he'll be looking to just try and take, I think this will be his first race victory of the season if he can pull it off. But he's sliding all over the road, he's overdriving the car, he's pushing too much against the limit. You can see Newt is as well, and for Josh Woolley, he might just be able to streak clear enough by the time we finish this final lap. But for Sawyer, he's got the saving grace of a few more corners to just push on through. But it doesn't seem like anything's going his way at the moment. He's just falling ever so slightly short. And for Josh Woolley, he'll have saved the battery as well. Newt will finish this race off in third, and he will not get second place in the standings, away from the man leading the way currently. And for Luke Sawyer, it's just going to be too little too late. And for Josh Woolley, who has masterclassed his way through this strategy, we thought earlier on after the qualifying sessions that second place in the standings might have just fell out of reach. But after all the drama we've had this evening with Newt's penalty that could be on his way, Sawyer on these mediums, he's weathered the storm beautifully. He's managed the safety cars, he's managed the strategy, and in the final round of the season, Josh Woolley cements second place in the standings with a superb race victory here in Azerbaijan. The king of the streets is here. Azerbaijan have a new prince in the old kingdom as Assassin comes across the line in fourth, Thomas in fifth, Ender Epic will finish off in sixth. Actually, not be fifth for him after Thomas's penalty. But for Josh Woolley here, Jordan, he's the man second place in the standings. And what a drive that was.
What an incredible drive. The management at the end to keep that gap to Newt just big enough that he couldn't attack. That was such a good play. And it obviously put Newt right into the eyes of Luke Sawyer, who has taken that to his own advantage. Managed to get a P2, which is a very good result in the race for Luke, but nothing to take away from the way Josh has driven tonight. He has been so consistent. We've not seen any mistakes from him. He's just kept it on the track, and results paid off. He's taken that P2 in the standings after all that. What a good way to end it for him.
That is a brilliant way to end it, and that is the glimpses of what we have seen from Josh Woolley all season long. Exactly what he has aspired to do and what he's unfortunately not been able to do throughout this season. And that luck has finally come his way at the dying embers of the season when he needed most to hold on to that second place in the standings. But congratulations to Josh Woolley. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear from him in a few moments' time for an interview. But we'll go through your order for this evening's race in a couple of moments' time. Newt could potentially still fall off the podium depending on how severe that penalty is come the end of this one. So it's still very much a provisional race standings. But it is going to be Josh Woolley who takes that race victory. But before we go into the interviews, we are going to take a quick word from our good friends at Grid Finder. And you guys can see how you can join a league such as this to race against other people on your skill level. Well, that was our friends at Grid Finder just telling you how you can get involved in leagues such as this and how you can find communities where you can race against others. But Jordan, I think this only means for one thing. Let's head to an interview with all three of the top three drivers, the podium sitters for this evening. I think it's only best we start in podium order, so let's get Newt into the commentary box to see what they have to say. Hello, Newt. Can you hear us?
Hello, I can.
Well, congratulations on third place this evening. First of all, just talk us through that one. How did things go?
Well, the first half of the race, nothing really happened because it was just safety car, safety car, safety car, safety car. And then I think it kind of screwed over the strategy for Luke. He had to go really long on the hard.
We lost Newt.
We may have lost you, Newt.
Hello? Oh, is it?
Oh, no, there we go. There we go. You're back.
Discord
Carry
is being broken. Yeah, so me and Josh were leading, saving the tyres as much as possible and just hoping that we had enough pace that Luke wouldn't catch us at the end. He obviously got past me, but I just needed to finish on my podium and him not win the race, so it worked out perfectly.
Certainly did indeed. Of course, you had a very late call into the pit lane for your one and only pit stop. Was that just reactive to Josh, or did you just kind of blank for a second and realise, oh, I need to go into the pit lane now?
I was trying to leave it as late as possible just to see what Josh did. He was being very cryptic with whether he was boxing or not. So when I saw him move over to the left, I quickly went into the pits as well. And it was much later than I wanted it to be, but I didn't hit the wall, which is all I needed to do.
Potential penalty could come your way after that one, though, because of I think you cut just after the commitment line, but that's up to the stewards. That's not up to my judgment. But yeah, just how have you found this season? Of course, it was a final race here in Baku. Just how have you felt about this season? You cemented P3 in the standings, and yeah, just how. Just tell us your thoughts on how this season went.
It's been a really fun season. It's been my most competitive in the BUSR. I had a run of only getting 2 podiums per season for the last 3, so to get 5 this season was a big improvement, and I've just been on the pace a lot more than I usually am, and yeah, I think I finished top 5 in every single race, including sprint races, so it's just been really consistent, and that's why I managed to get top 3.
Very consistent indeed, of course. I think we are going to get a new season some point soon. What if you are going to join us back for a new season? What are your aspirations for that one? Is it to P2 in the standings or win it all?
It's going to depend heavily on the calendar. I think I'm very track dependent on whether I'm competitive or not. So if the tracks suit me well, then I don't see why I can't try to challenge. I've improved in pace a lot over the last few months, so I'm happy to try to go for the championship, but Chris is obviously extremely quick, so it's going to be dependent on whether he's racing and how much he's racing.
Jordan, is there any questions you have for Newt?
I mean, the only one I would have said, which you've already kind of mentioned, was the safety car. That very late call. How do you think the safety cars overall? Obviously, me looking at this from the perspective of a driver, it's very distracting when you've got constant safety cars in and out and you never really get a chance to get into a rhythm. I don't know how you found it today, but did you notice anything with kind of the distractions of constant stop-start racing, or were you just able to kind of drive through it and not really lose anything?
It was really difficult because the tyres were just constantly cold because we never had a chance to actually drive fast enough to heat them up. So, especially for the first few laps after the last safety car, it was just so difficult to actually find how much grip there was. And yeah, it was just difficult to judge how fast we should be going. And then people around me were making mistakes and going deep. And it was a mess, frankly. And having that many safety cars was definitely not the way that I wanted the race to go. But you can't really do anything about it. It's kind of expected around a track like this. So yeah, I'm not surprised that we had just back-to-back safety cars for the first half of the race, but yeah, it was difficult.
Yeah, it certainly did seem difficult indeed. indeed. But thank you for joining us this season, Newt. It's been a pleasure to have you in the comms box whenever you've scored yourself onto the podium. And yeah, good luck for next season.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Right then, I think it's time we move over to second place man in this race, who tried the alternate strategy in this one. Let's bring in Luke Sawyer to see what he has to say for this one. Hello, Luke. Can you hear us?
Yep, loud and clear.
Talk us through that one. That must feel a little bit tough to swallow after the race that you had.
Well, I'll be honest, I'm probably going to need a pacemaker or something now because my heartbeat is through the roof. It's a bit frustrating coming so close, but it's another P2. I feel like I'm racking up so many P2s. My new nickname should be Silver Medal. But either way, I'm happy. I did my very best. There's not really. I think the only thing I could have done better across the entire night was pole. I reckon that was on when my last run I botched it into turn 3. Apart from that, I did the best I could have done. The last safety car out of all of those is the one that really screwed me over. But hindsight's a wonderful thing. I got the best I could have done. So
yeah, it was just. I think it was just that last safety car. Of course, everybody came into the pit lane. Of course, he saw Newt come in really late. We've asked Newt the question, but what was your views on that one? Because it looked like he was staying out, then all of a sudden he just cuts completely across the circuit and into the pits.
I was expecting it, which is why I gave him the gap to do it. I was expecting him to box, but I didn't expect him to go that late. Whether it's a penalty or not, I have no idea. I don't pay that close attention to the rule book. But if it's a penalty, it's a penalty. If it's not, it's not. I don't think it's going to affect the order of the race and the championship, so it seems a bit pointless to do it. But didn't make much difference in the end.
Oh, and just talk us through as well that stint at the end there on those mediums. You were chasing down at one point. You were 4 seconds a lap quicker than what we saw Josh Woody do. Was it just full blast all the way to the end, see what you can do? Was there still a little bit of time management alongside that?
Time management, never heard of it. We don't do that woke nonsense. No, in all seriousness, my original plan, because I was expecting a few safety cars anyways, was to just extend the hards as far as possible and then go full push on the mediums, which is what I did. Which I didn't expect to be 4 seconds a lap faster than Josh and Newt, so that's something, I guess. But just come short, which is a shame.
You unfortunately did with Josh at the very end. That must have been just so brutal. Maybe one more lap and you could have got him. But one last one from me. Just how have you found this season? Like coming out of things, just how have you found it as a whole? And have you lived up to your expectations or even beat them come the end of this season?
My expectations, I exceeded them 50-fold. I did way more than I thought I would have been able to do because this is my first ever league on any F1 game or any racing game in general for that matter. So I played myself down quite a lot, didn't expect too much. It's gone good. It's great. I love it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's competitive. I will be returning for whenever the next one is in spring. But, I don't know what other people's expectations were of me. I have no idea, but I think regardless, I think expectations were blown out of the water as a whole.
Well, to quickly build on to that fact that you are rejoining next season, what are your expectations for next season if you do have any?
I don't. So, depending on who's in, because realistically, if the alien that is Chrysis is back, then you can write off the title picture there and then. I don't want to get my hopes up and say, I'm going to launch a title shot or anything like that. I have no idea. You can't make predictions this early on when it's months down the line. Everyone could be different, All of a sudden, Wooly could be esports pace or something like that. You never know. You can't predict this early. But either way, if I was to make a prediction, it's that it's going to be competitive, it's going to be fun, and it's just going to be an enjoyable experience for everybody.
I mean, you can't lose when you've got no expectations. So
Exactly.
you've actually set yourself quite up nicely there. That's a very PR answer, that one. So well media trained, Luke.
Practice that one in the mirror every night.
Well, it's worked out. It's paid off nicely. But yeah, hopefully you do have success when we see you back. But Jordan, over to you. Just like we did for Newt, is there any questions for you that you have for Luke?
I'm going to throw the same one at Luke that I threw at Newt, but it should be a bit more interesting for Luke because you were on the hards at the start of the race. Obviously, Newt mentioned it as well with the safety cars and never being able to get any temp in your tyres. And especially for you as well, there was a couple of times where it looked like you were able to build the gap, get everyone out of DRS, only to just be brought right back into it by the safety cars. So how was that for you? Were you able to kind of keep in your rhythm, or did it affect you in any way?
I'll be honest, the rhythm was there from lap one. All the safety cars, it never really knocked me out of any rhythm because I was expecting them, and they came at relatively spaced out. So it wasn't like, oh, we're going again. Oh, it's an instant safety car. I had a few laps to build myself back up again. The temps, however, God, were they cold. It was impossible to warm them up. So I eventually just gave it up and did a Kimi Raikkonen and just straight lined every safety car lap. But I don't know if you saw, basically every safety car restart, I got wheel spin like crazy, trying to build a gap. Ayo, it happens. It was fun. I wanted to be different. I didn't want to go on the mediums and just do, be boring. I wanted to try and do something fun and interesting. And by the sounds of it, I did something fun and interesting. So go me.
You definitely did. It was a lot of fun to watch, especially as Max said earlier, with your final stint as well, with the pace you had. It was so good to watch from a commentary standpoint. And it'll be great to see you next season. Hopefully, I'll be back in the car as well, so I'll get some more battles against you. But yeah, brilliant drive tonight. You drove incredibly well, and it was great to watch. So well done.
Thank you very much.
Done, Mr. Luke. That was a very good drive from him this evening. But at the minute, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. But let's head over now to the man who secured second place in the standings and your race winner for this one, Mr. Josh Woolley. Hello, Josh. Welcome to the commentary. But just talk us through that one. How did that race go from your standpoint?
Well, I'm not sure I'd call it a race. I'd call it 14 laps of safety cars and driving at 40 miles an hour. And then 12 laps of, a sprint race of being hunted down by a madman on medium tyres and hoping that he doesn't catch us, essentially. So yeah, good fun. Happy to end the season on a high. But yeah, a bit of an odd race, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a very odd race with all those safety cars in the first stage. That very much was like a sprint to the end. Just talk us through that second stint. Of course, you got past Newt, and then of course when Luke came in, it was absolutely rapid, flying up to the back of you two. Was the whole game plan keep Newt at arm's length enough to make sure he isn't able to attack at any point in those final few laps, and kind of use him as a blockade against Luke whenever he caught up?
Yeah, it was a bizarre one because obviously it was a three-way battle in terms of points, and so for me, Luke couldn't really beat me on points because of my wins earlier in the season. So it was more try and keep Newt behind. We were sort of working together, sort of not working together, just the usual, you're in a DRS train, so like don't do anything stupid at turn 4, otherwise we'll end up in a wall together. But yeah, it was keep them at arm's length, don't try and drop them, because otherwise if I dropped Newt, then Luke would probably have picked us both off fairly easy. But yeah, happy that Luke took as long as he did to catch us, and that his tyres were fairly dead, I think, by the time he did catch us, and so I did gap him on the final lap, which was a moral victory on top of an actual victory.
Yeah, it certainly was indeed. Of course, that picks you up second place in the standings. Are you happy with that? You happy to finish off second in the end?
Yeah, a positive season overall. I can't complain with 3 wins and 5 podiums, I think, or something along those lines. But another season of what could have been. Obviously, Austria and Vegas, 2 rather heavy blots on the card. But yeah, student champion and P2 overall. I can't be too unhappy about.
No, you can't be at all, of course. It was a very good season from your standpoint. Just did you beat your expectations going on, or was it just you expected a little bit more out of it?
Going into the season, I didn't know Christis was going to race, and so the aim was to win. I think pre-season I took top seed by maybe a tenth of a second over him, so had that belief that I could win it. But yeah, it's just conspired against me a little bit. But there's next season. We'll go again. Attempt number 9, I think it is next season for an overall title, and I'm getting closer. So yeah, we'll go again.
Could be the last step. Lucky number 9. Lucky number 9 could be. But yeah, so is next season that aims certainly on the title? Is that the overall goal for the next one? Yeah,
unless Tom Roberts or someone of equal level decides that they're going to show up again. Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm at the point now with my skill that I should be able to fight for that title again next season.
So, what about you, Jordan? Any questions for Mr. Willie, or is that going to be all?
Yeah, I mean, I've got one big one. Let's attack the elephant in the room here. Newt's pit stop under the safety car. Obviously, it was very late, and from the looks of it, he pitted too late and didn't cross the white line on pit entry. What's your take on that?
I mean, from a race director standpoint, there was some white lines that were crossed, but nowhere in the rulebook does it explicitly state you cannot cross the white lines. I don't believe it might do. It does.
It actually does.
Yeah, I've been corrected from my own rulebook.
We researched it on the stream. We did under the safety car. We did all the research and watched it back, and it says you have to commit at least 2 tires to the white line, and you can't take advantage of it, or saying it's something along the lines of you can't just cut off the corner and come into pit lane. You've got to commit. And for Newt, it seems he actually just cut across the little intersection kind of bit to get into pit lane.
Yes, I know it was a panic. Oh wait, Josh is pitting. But yeah, if someone reports it, someone reports it. But I don't think anyone will, because the gap behind was 11 seconds in the end. 9.8 or something, and so a 5-second penalty won't do anything. So I doubt anyone will report it. I certainly won't be. But yes, clearly I need to revise my rulebook so I know it better.
Yes, it's shocking standards from you, Josh. We expect better from you. But yeah, me and Jordan found out we know more than the actual race director for this one. So. Definitely not thanks to research we've done midstream. But yeah, that was just an overall brilliant race from you, Josh. And of course, actually, Jordan, shall we ask him the question that you've asked everybody else?
Oh, yes, let's do it.
Uh-oh.
So, obviously, you've already mentioned it. There was 1,000,001 safety cars, which standard Baku. How was your rhythm? Because I know it's very difficult to stay in that rhythm with safety cars. It's so easy to kind of just get distracted. And it's very difficult to kind of get back to where you were before, and especially with tie attempts being so difficult to keep in the window. How did you find it? Were you able to just kind of stay in the right headspace, or was it a bit of a pain?
Luckily, I've been doing coursework all week and all day, and so I didn't really have any rhythm to begin with. And so the longest stint I actually did at any point was after the safety cars had finished. So for me, I didn't really lose anything because I didn't start the race with any rhythm. But yeah, I think it was nice because the medium tyres are shocking. And so to get rid of them meant that we weren't sliding and just could run the hards long, which was much, much nicer from my point of view.
It definitely looked like it. It looked like you were a lot more consistent on the hards as well. The pace was good. How much management went into it? Because I was watching your tyre wear throughout the stream, just keep an eye on it. And it looked like there was a bit of management going on, but the wear didn't look too bad. So how was it from your perspective? Were you able to kind of do the pace you wanted to, or did you have to manage a lot more?
Yeah, it was about 3.5% a lap, I think 4% on the hards, which it was definitely manageable. It was sort of one of those weird ones where you want to push whilst still not pushing in the traction zones. So you sort of push through the higher speed corners and just take a little bit off in the traction zones because of the funky tyre physics. So yeah, I was probably half a second a lap off where we could have been, maybe a second a lap off, but not having to pit saved us 20 seconds.
Definitely the right call. Definitely the right call in the end.
Yeah, it certainly was the right call indeed. But thank you, Josh, for joining us, and good luck for next season. And hopefully we do see lucky number 9. You are finally able to get your hands on that precious championship victory.
Cheers, guys.
Right then, that is the top 3. That is probably going to be it for this evening as well, and for the season, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, thank you, Jordan, for electing to step out of your racing duties to join me in the commentary box. How did you find this evening? Is there any last words from you before we head off?
It's been a lot of fun. One way I'm kind of glad I didn't race, because that race just looked like absolute carnage, and I don't know if I would have been able to focus for that for 26 whole laps. But yeah, it's been really enjoyable. It's always fun to kind of watch it, especially with the perspective of being a driver. It's a lot more fun to have that driver's mind of what you're going to be doing with strategies, how you're going to be trying to manage the race. So I feel like it brings a good insight, and it just makes commentating really fun when you can kind of see it from both sides of the perspective.
Certainly does indeed. Of course, myself as a former racer as well, I also like bringing in that insight. It just adds a whole new level, I feel like, to the comms, and it definitely brings that experience to the commentary box that you do need. But I mean, you had first hand with these guys, so you know exactly how they were, so it brings that extra little bit of detail. But yeah, I think that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Jordan, for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and a very, very nice introduction to the commentary box for this evening's action. But yeah, that is going to be all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here this season. It has been an absolute pleasure, and thank you to everybody as well at the BUSR for allowing this to happen. Of course, the drivers, Grid Finder, Sim Staff, NSE, everybody who has been involved. Thank you all for being here. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be it. So stay safe, stay well, and we shall see you next season, where the big question is, will anybody be able to dethrone Chris's Pilacoris? Thank you, and goodbye.
Bye, everyone.